When a story begins with a question that still haunts America, it immediately grips the reader's curiosity. What kind of monster writes a ransom note inside the victim's home? Using the family's own pen and paper, she wondered. What killer asks for $118,000, a sum so precise it feels personal, she asked herself. And how does a 6-year-old beauty queen vanish on Christmas night, only to be found dead in the basement of her own house? She pondered. On December 25, 1996, beneath the glow of holiday lights in Boulder, Colorado, something went terribly, irrevocably wrong. This is not just a murder case. It is America's most unsettling unanswered question. The Ramsey home was large, lavish, and quiet, creating the illusion that nothing bad was supposed to happen there. Patsy Ramsey descended the staircase early that morning, still in her last night's clothes, when she saw the note. A letter, 3 pages long, not hurried, not sloppy, carefully written. "We have your daughter," she read, disbelief creeping into her eyes. The ransom demand was for $118,000, almost exactly John Ramsey's recent bonus, making it feel so personal. The note warned, "If you talk to anyone, she dies," she recited to herself, trembling. JonBenét was missing, her small presence absent from her bed. Police were called immediately, despite the note's instructions, already violating them. Friends were summoned, and the house filled with people as chaos unfolded. Evidence blurred amid the panic. Footprints crossed uncharted paths in the snow outside. And somewhere inside that house, JonBenét Ramsey was already dead, her fate sealed in a cruel twist of fate. Hours passed with no phone call. The waiting grew agonizingly long. Finally, police suggested John Ramsey search the house top to bottom in a desperate bid for answers. He went to the basement, heart pounding with dread. Minutes later, a scream pierced the air, a cry of horror and despair. JonBenét's body lay in a small storage room, wrapped in a blanket, her mouth taped, her wrists bound tightly. A crude garrote was tightened around her tiny neck, evidence of a brutal struggle. She had suffered a severe head injury before being strangled, a detail that chilled everyone involved. This was no botched kidnapping, someone whispered in shock. This was a murder, clear and cold, committed inside the home itself. Investigators stared in disbelief at the ransom note, stunned by its bizarre details. It was written inside the house, 3 pages long, filled with bizarre movie quotes woven into the text. Its tone was calm, almost theatrical, as if scripted for a stage. Experts later said it looked staged, a carefully crafted facade. Handwriting analysts disagreed, adding layers of confusion to an already tangled case. DNA evidence was partial, confusing, and inconclusive, offering no clear answers. Fibers, footprints, and timelines contradicted each other, adding chaos to the investigation. From the very start, this case fractured into competing realities, each theory more perplexing than the last. The first theory was the intruder, an unknown predator slipping into the house on Christmas night, watching, waiting, and then writing a ransom note. Why write the note inside? Why risk so much time? Why leave the body behind? Critics questioned. Supporters of this theory pointed to unidentified DNA found on JonBenét's clothing as evidence of an outsider's involvement. But others wondered, could an intruder really have pulled off such a meticulous crime and vanished without a trace? The second theory was that the family itself had committed the crime, adding layers of suspicion. Some investigators suspected that the ransom note was merely a cover-up, perhaps a carefully planned crime by someone inside the house. They pointed to the delay in calling police as a mistake, and to inconsistencies that suggested panic in the face of chaos. Yet, suspicion was not proof, and no family member had ever been charged, leaving the question open-ended. Still, the dark cloud of doubt never lifted from the Ramseys' lives. The third theory considered an accident gone terribly wrong, perhaps a household mishap spiraling into tragedy. Could this have been a domestic accident? Was there a moment of fear that led to murder? Some wondered. This theory is horrifying because it feels intensely human, an ordinary family torn apart by a terrible mistake. It would also explain many of the strange details. An intruder, staged kidnapping, or hidden conflict, almost everything. But the truth remained elusive, buried beneath layers of conjecture, fear, and unresolved questions. And so, the mystery of JonBenét Ramsey continues to haunt the nation, slipping into the shadows of Christmas memories. Each new theory only deepens the enigma, leaving the core question unanswered. Who truly killed her? Every piece of evidence is a fragment of a larger, unanswerable story, one that still chills America to its core. The case remains unsolved, a dark chapter in the nation's history, forever frozen in time. And as each holiday season arrives, the memory of JonBenét's tragic story reemerges, haunting the collective conscience. Many still wonder if the truth will ever finally come to light, or if some dark secret will remain hidden forever. This is America's most unsettling, unanswered question, a Christmas mystery that will never be fully solved. At this point in the story, one thing becomes clear. This case survives because it refuses to settle. And if you're drawn to mysteries that linger, stories that official answers never close, this is exactly why Behind the Veil Truths exists. Sometimes the truth isn't hidden, it's buried under noise. A case that consumed America. The media frenzy was relentless. JonBenét's pageant photos were everywhere, smiling, made up, frozen in time. Talk shows turned theories into entertainment. Public opinion hardened into camps. Reputations were destroyed. Police departments feuded. Evidence sat untested for years. Leads dried up, and the killer, if there was one, walked free. The DNA that changed everything, and nothing. Years later, advances in DNA technology reignited hope. The profile didn't match any Ramsey family member. Was this proof of an intruder? Or contamination? Even today, experts argue the case was eventually formally unsolved. No arrests, no convictions, no closure. Why this case will never die? Because it happened on Christmas. Because the crime scene was a home. Because the evidence points everywhere and nowhere. JonBenét Ramsey is no longer just a victim. She is a symbol of unanswered justice, a reminder that sometimes in America's most well-lit houses, the deepest darkness goes unseen. And somewhere out there, someone knows exactly what happened that night. Epilogue. The door remains open. If this case still chills you, good. It should. Because mysteries like this don't belong to the past. They linger, waiting for someone willing to look deeper, for more stories hidden beneath the surface, cases that refuse to stay buried. Subscribe to Behind the Veil Truths. The truth doesn't disappear. It waits.